Are you ready? It is time for another episode of Broad Street and Beyond, where everything Philly sports and Central PA is in play. We leave those New York sports in the penalty box. And now, here's Chase and JT.
And we are back with another episode, Broad Street and Beyond, right here on YouTube. Of course, that gentleman there to the, I guess you'd be to the left of me there, JT. You'd be to the left of me. Thanks for showing up today, buddy. Thanks for being on time. Appreciate it, JT.
Love it. Good to see you. Good to see everyone.
Appreciate your attention to details here, JT, on showing up on time for the podcast here today. Today's a special one. We got, of course, Zack Fisch, the Hershey Bears radio play-by-play man, right there next to us as well. He's going to discuss, of course, all the happenings with the Hershey Bears in that first round of the playoffs. Zack, let's get right into it, man. We appreciate the time. First off, with here on Broad Street and Beyond, but let's discuss that first round matchup. Of course, the Bears sweeping out the Bridgeport Islanders. What did you see from that first round? A lot of good things in that first round, not the way it went, for the most part of the season, but really a good first round for the Hershey Bears.
Yeah, good to still be playing hockey and good to be talking with you guys. I mean, kudos to the Bears, the coaching staff, everyone involved for rising to the occasion in the playoffs. Bridgeport and Hershey had played a ton down the stretch, and we didn't know how that first round would go, but it's a short series, a best of three. You want to bring it right off the get-go, and the Bears had to go to Bridgeport and win a game. I think, look, if you get good goaltending in the playoffs, you can go a long way. And Clay Stevenson is playing as well as anybody right now in the postseason. He was good off the bat. The Bears won a close one, and that set the tone to come home. And playoff hockey at Giant Center, it's a different animal. So that was something that we saw come to fruition for the team pretty quick. But the club does look like a different team in a lot of aspects. Some of the little things that we saw spurts of in their game that were really encouraging, they're doing for a full 60 minutes. So now that rises to the challenge against an even tougher opponent, but very impressive, even if it is a small sample size, first two games of the playoffs.
Zach, the Bears had maybe some early regular season success against Bridgeport, and then, as you mentioned, they really struggled and had their problems with Bridgeport, through most of the regular season. In fact, it was just, a couple of days before they met, they lost, I think it was 2-1 at Giant Center. Anything that you saw jump out at you in the playoff series matchup-wise that changed, that really flipped things around for the Bears as far as something that they did better in how they matched up as opposed to the regular season?
I think for me, you mentioned it, Bridgeport was very good down the stretch. That 2-1 win, the Islanders even rested 4 or 5 really key players. So you're looking at it going, man, this is going to be an even better team. And no disrespect to Bridgeport, they're a well-coached group, but I think Hershey's playoff experience showed. You think this is a really young team. We said it all year, but Bridgeport had a dozen players in their lineup that were playing their first ever Calder Cup playoff game. Because of their lack of success the last handful of years, even a guy that's played 3 years in the American Hockey League for Bridgeport was getting their first taste of the playoffs, while a guy like Ivan Mirostichenko or Bogdan Trinyaev, they were not. They're Calder Cup champions, even guys that had been there and gotten a taste of it elsewhere, like Corey Schooneman or Louis Belpedio. They knew what to expect, and the Bears played a really good playoff game. Tight checking, frustrate teams and neutral ice, don't give up much, and you could tell some of the young players for Bridgeport that are so key for them, they were frustrated by that, and it was a very, very typical playoff game where the physicality amped up, but you have to walk that line. So for me, it was the Bears' ability and maybe their experience a little bit, even though they are a young team too, to know what happens when you flip that switch to playoff hockey. And then you got real good goaltending. The penalty kill came up big, but Clay Stevenson leading the way. He's ready to grab the reins of the net after being Hunter Shepard's understudy these last couple of years, and he made some really timely saves on top of it too that really matter this time of year, especially when the series is as short as that best of 3 is.
With having Protas back, Miroshnichenko, again, Stevenson back too here for the playoffs, really helping. Of course, the chocolate and white. Talk about that locker room too, Zach. Of course, Derek King had some unlikely comments after the regular season there towards the end that he wishes he would have taken back. But what does that locker room feel like right now as they're heading into the playoffs and heading into the semifinals now against the Penguins?
I think it's a really connected group, and I think even in the frustrating moment late in the season, the intentions are there to get the most out of these guys.
Right.
And this is a locker room that enjoys coming to the rink every day. Very youthful locker room. Andrew Crystal and Ilya Protas, he's just 19. AC started the year at 20, and a lot of young guys that are adding some new youthful energy, making me feel old coming to the rink every day. But I really like the group that we have. I think they're gelling at the right time. I think they know what it means to play playoff hockey in Hershey. Even the younger guys have got enough of a lesson from the Matt Stroms and Aaron Nesses of the world that have been here. And that's another big piece, guys. Aaron Ness has come back and elevated his game. He was out for 26 games, the Bears captain. He's the type of guy that you look to your right and go, man, I better step up my game because I don't want to disappoint him. That's how much respect that he commands. So I think it's a real good room. You know, Derek King is a different type of coach in the way that he leads, a different type of coach in the way that he speaks with the media or speaks in the videos that we get to see. But we don't, any of us, even me who's around the team a lot, we don't get to see behind the curtains of what goes on between players and coaches. But I can tell you, talking to members of this team, talking to guys on the team, they enjoy coming to the rink every day. They enjoy playing for this coaching staff. And we look at, hey, you know, coach said what he said about a handful of those guys. You mentioned, hey, maybe I should have worded that a little bit better. Didn't quite like the verbiage that he had there for it for some of his key players, but they all stepped up the next game. So message was received. And I think this group right now knows that there's another challenge ahead with Wilkes-Barre Scranton, which is a whole new animal after taking down Bridgeport.
Zach, Miroshnichenko, Ilya Protas got a lot of attention during the regular season, rightfully so. They had a taste of what it's like up in the NHL. Towards the end of the regular season, some other guys got the call, but I wonder if you could just kind of speak to what Andrew Crystal has brought to the team this year, and he really stood out in game two, and really kind of emerged there in that game. Where have you seen kind of his growth, and how good is it to see his development and what he's become?
He's a key player for this team, and seeing him kind of add a little bit of tenacity to his game in the postseason is pretty cool because you can tell he's been there, done that at a different level, and now he knows he's got to take it up a notch in the professional ranks. Incredible playmaker, gets his points. He's become a much more well-rounded player since starting this year in Hershey, and that's what a coaching staff like the Bears have been tasked with, to take these guys and get them ready for the National Hockey League, and in turn get them ready for the Calder Cup playoffs, where you have to be defensively responsible. You have to make sure you get pucks out on the boards. You have to make sure that you're detailed in your game, because if you get that here, then you have a chance to play for Spencer Carberry at the next level. He's going to expect that. And we look at Ivan Miroshnichenko, where he was from when he started the first year to where Todd Nelson got him to where this coaching staff has taken him to. There's a reason he's getting opportunities in the NHL, and Crystal's not far behind from that. He's obviously an undersized player, but he played every game this year. Every lick that he took, he hopped right back up and got out there. So you have to have a little bit of that elusiveness or a little bit of that toughness in your game at that size and stature to be able to bounce back, and AC certainly does have that. And for me, just got such incredible vision as a passer. Loved if he shot the puck a little bit more. The coaches will tell you exactly the same because he does have a very good shot. But for me, even if they're slow rolling him a little bit here and going to give him more time in Hershey next season, if there's not a spot for him, it's only going to help him because he has all the makings of being a really good playmaker, an elite playmaker at the NHL level. It's just all those other parts of his game that he's rounding out this year, and you've seen big strides in it from October to where he is now.
Zach, as you know, too, being up there in Hershey, playoff hockey is always a different beast, and playoff hockey up in Hershey is always a different beast, too. You get into playoff hockey, it's not always about the team that had the best record during the regular season. Do you think the Hershey Bears, after that first two games, are now peaking maybe at the right time?
I think so, and that's what you want to do going into the playoffs. And look, it could be one good opponent. Maybe they just weren't as good as they should have been, or you were really good in those games. And best of three is a bit of a crapshoot just for that sheer fact. You look at some really good teams that have gone down, and you look at Charlotte. They won 8-1 in game one against Springfield, and you're thinking it's going to be a cakewalk for them. And give the T-Birds credit. They came back and switched goaltenders and shut them down and won the series. And that's why the Bears are playing Wilkes-Barre Scranton now. But for Hershey's perspective, to your question, they've seen that they can do it. They've seen they can do it at a higher level. They understand. I think, kind of in the locker room, we heard him say it in the background. It's on the board that they put the pucks on, shock the world. They realize that they're the underdog a little bit this year, and that's kind of a fun thing to take on rather than being the odds-on favorite like the Bears were these last handful of years. So I like the way that they're trending, particularly defensively. That's going to be a challenge. Zero disrespect to the Bridgeport Islanders. They have some real good young players there, but Wilkes-Barre Scranton, they have a very deep arsenal of talent and skill. And to be able to shut them down in a 5-game series, that's a task that's going to be difficult, no doubt, with some of the high-end players that they have.
Zach, you kind of piggybacking off of that a little bit, the Bears obviously struggled. They had their problems with Wilkes-Barre Scranton in the regular season. Now, they did have some better results the last two meetings of the regular season, including one that clinched the playoff spot. But what is it about Wilkes-Barre Scranton that makes them such a tough matchup? And where do you see maybe why did the Bears have a little more success towards the end of the regular season, but what makes them such a tough matchup for Hershey?
Well, for me, it's just that they're a team you see a ton, so you don't like them. So I like that that's in a playoff series, that we're getting a best of 5 against Wilkes-Barre. But I think they have immense skill, like I was mentioning, and we've seen them with a lineup that does not have all their big dogs in it, and we've seen them take it to the Bears. The last couple games, Hershey didn't have all their big guns, but they did have maybe a little bit better lineup on paper, and they got the job done. They also figured out how to solve Sergei Murashov, at least enough in those games where Wilkes-Barre didn't have their best lineup, because Murashov, their goaltender, has been an absolute thorn in their side. But McGroarty, Hayes, Clausen, Koivunen just go up and down the lineup. Tristan Bro's obviously been hurt a lot this year, but and that McDonough is playing really well. They just have so many weapons offensively, and then really good depth in their bottom six of playoff type of players. It's a new challenge for a lot of those guys. Calder Cup playoff hockey. Wilkes-Barre hasn't had near the success that Hershey's had in recent years. They've had some results that haven't gone their way. So it's now up to that organization to rise to the challenge. And even though the Bears aren't the team that they were the last couple of years standings-wise, it's still a tough match for Wilkes-Barre Scranton because of that. But I think the Penguins have elite skill. They have a very good coach in Kirk McDonald, who's highly regarded as a younger, up-and-coming coach. They have some good leadership on the back end. And their goaltender's elite. I mean, Sergei Murashov, to me, is one of the best goaltenders in the American Hockey League. Whether you got Providence and Michael DiPietro, the AHL's MVP, or you got Sergei Murashov and Wilkes-Barre Scranton, you're facing a top-end goaltender. And Bridgeport, we didn't even know who their goaltender was going to be going into game number 1. Marcus Hogberg played well, but he was a bit of a surprise starter. Now you're facing a really good goaltender. Murashov had 5 wins against the Bears this year. Hershey was only able to beat him twice, which is an accomplishment in itself. So I think Wilkes-Barre is just a team that you can defend very well, but still can burn you with their skill. Keeping shots to the outside and getting a good performance against Clay Stevenson is going to be big. Area of opportunity, maybe for the Bears is they got to be good on special teams. We didn't see a ton of it in that initial round, but if you look at the power play for the Bears in the season series against Wilkes-Barre Scranton, the Pens were about 23%, while the Bears were a little less than that, and their penalty kill struggled against Wilkes-Barre Scranton overall. So you got to be buttoned up and you got to be disciplined, because the Pens can burn you on the power play.
Looking ahead to game 1 there, Zach, up in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, obviously coming up here on Thursday in the Atlantic Division Semifinals. What are you seeing from the Bears? They had a better road record, obviously, during the regular season. Does that benefit the Bears here starting off, on the road against Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, and having that 2-2-1 format?
Yeah, I think it's not a bad thing with the way the Bears played on the road to start not only the playoffs, but in the regular season. I won't say the pressure's off a little bit, but there is a pressure playing at Giant Center in front of the fans and wanting to succeed for your fans, but more so just playing a simple road game. That's been Derek King's message since the first interview I've done with him. You guys listen to the interviews on the air beforehand. A lot of what he says about the opposing team specifically focuses on his team playing a good road game when we're away from home and just keeping things simple. He doesn't necessarily care if Wilkes-Barre Scranton's got the leading score or Bridgeport has the leading score. He knows his team, to win a game, has to do things the way that they've designed up and not deviate from that plan. Occasionally, you're going to be beat by great players. In the NHL, Connor McDavid's going to get his points and make his plays. You can only contain him so much, and that's true about the top guys in this league. But for the most part, if you play your way, you're going to have success. So that's what I like for the Bears. They really had a simple road game in Bridgeport in game number 1. You did not give up a lot of shots on goal. They have to continue that, getting in the way of pucks, fronting pucks, staying disciplined, keeping things out of interior ice, and allowing Clay Stevenson to see the shots. Because if he sees it, he's going to stop it right now. You're not getting a straight shot past Clay Stevenson. It's going to have to be much trickier than that. But Wilkes-Barre is a team that likes tips. They like using the backboards. They like going low to high. A lot of challenges in how they like to handle that puck and hang on to that puck in the offensive zone. So that's where the simple road game comes into play, to kill some of those plays and, muck and grind a little bit when you need to, and, make things tough for Wilkes-Barre Scranton and earn your bounces.
Zach, Hershey as we've talked about before, has had their issues on the blue line this year, but towards the end of the regular season, and certainly in that series against Bridgeport, things have really tightened up. What do you attribute that to? Was it the return of Aaron Ness stabilizing things, or was there more to it than that?
I think it was a big part of it there. I think they also really did a nice job as a five-man unit in front of the goaltender, collectively playing their scheme and defensive style. Those forwards can help out big time. But I think, too, you see Louis Belpedio and Corey Schooneman, who are veteran defensemen that have had long playoff runs. Not quite what Aaron Ness has had, but the three of them together, all as a group, helping out some younger players, you can see how much that depth is added to just when you get one extra body back there. I think some of the young players stepped up and kept it very simple as well. He's down playing in South Carolina to start the week, but I imagine we'll see him back. Riley Webb, he's not a guy that gets heralded. He started on a tryout with Hershey this year, but meat potatoes player, kept it really, really simple and did a good job. John McDonald had a heck of a series, and that's not a player that's high-flying offensive. He's not a Washington Capitals NHL prospect, but man, was he a machine out there blocking shots and getting in the way. You see the sacrifices from those guys, the veteran leadership from others, and young kids taking that next step. Collectively, as a group, it was very good. And when they made a mistake, their goalie was there to bail them out. But suddenly going from 40 shots a game for Clay or for Mitch Gibson to 18 or 22, probably not sustainable against some of the higher end teams, but definitely a step in the right direction of keeping things out of those difficult areas, that house area in front of the net where so many goals are scored.
Another player too, Zach, that you probably can't say enough about is Sonny Milano. Since coming down from Washington, he's played really well with the Hershey Bears. You mentioned Belpedio. You also mentioned Schooneman in there. Suzaleff has had a consistent game too. Who do you see that needs to step it up here as they take on Wilkes-Barre Scranton in game number 1 for the Hershey Bears?
Yeah, I think you mentioned a couple guys that are still looking to take that next step that are going to be a big part of this team. I mean, I look at Milano and Leeson on a line together. They're playing with Kyler Kupka at times, and then they're playing with Jalen Lightman in the playoffs, who did a very good job. Those are two guys with a lot of NHL experience. Milano obviously hit the empty netter and played well. I thought they both played well, but I still think there's more to be desired from them from a points perspective, and they are going to get their points. They are high-end players in that aspect, and that wouldn't shock me at all to see one of them pop off in this series and have a real good series, just because we're accustomed to that. And they're not going to go a long stretch of games without points, especially as key as they are on the power play and other aspects of games. Really liked what Protis and Crystal and some of those young guys did. Bogdan Trinyev had a very good series as well. But for me, I think it's those guys there that still have that opportunity to pick up a few more on the point sheet and make that game-breaking difference, because they have been there, done that. They've played in the Stanley Cup playoffs, particularly in Milano's case, played a lot of games in the National Hockey League, and nothing is going to overwhelm them. And believe it or not, Brett Leeson was here the last time we played Wilkes-Barre Scranton in the playoffs. He went away for a few years, and now he's back. He scored a huge goal to force overtime in the decisive Game 3 against the Baby Pens. So little extra mojo for him. So I see those guys stepping up, taking it to the next level for Hershey and being hopefully menaces in this series, because we mentioned the skill for Wilkes-Barre. We'd be remiss if we didn't mention the skill. We talked all about Crystal and Protis, but those guys certainly have a lot of it, and the points back it up in their regular season play.
Besides guys like but Protis and Trinyev, Crystal, who are some other who's another guy, or who are some other players that you saw made maybe the biggest leap developmentally this year, kind of really sort of emerged and really maybe forced themselves onto Washington's radar?
Yeah, I mean, Trinyev, number one for me, as you mentioned, just because of the growth of what he's had. He's gotten better every year. It's not a surprise he's put up the points he is, playing with the guys that he is in a top role, but he's become this really dominant player that is difficult to play against, that for me is a prototypical fourth liner in the National Hockey League, third liner, maybe even a bottom six guy, give him the credit where credit's due in that aspect. So I think that that's a big spot for him where the growth has been shown immensely. For me as well, I think Clay Stevenson, we knew that he had a ton of potential, right? We saw what he could do in his rookie season with Hunter Shepard when he set the franchise record, tied the franchise record for shutouts. He was playing in front of a really good team. This year, not quite as buttoned up defensively. The numbers don't lie in that aspect for him and for the team overall. But Clay really gave the team a chance to win every night, and I thought his game really shored up when he came back from injury. We're seeing a guy that is now firmly on the radar for the Washington Capitals, whether it's for the immediate future. They have 2 goaltenders under contract, so that might be difficult, or for the long-term future. They realize what he can do. Now that he's got a cup of coffee up there at the NHL level, but he's also playing like an NHL caliber goaltender down here. Not that he wasn't before, but right now his movement is just so calm. He's making it look easy. For me, we've seen him in a different headspace, a different level than he was, and he was already pretty darn good. But right now, he looks like a guy that I wouldn't want to face if I was an opponent. So hopefully that play continues for him. But I think he's very much so put himself on the radar as not only a good call-up goaltender for the Washington Capitals, but someone they could see that would definitely have an NHL future for them. And if need be, for whatever reason, can jump right in and really give them a winning effort night in and night out.
One more question from me, Zach, before we wrap things up with you. I know you're a busy guy here as we head into the playoffs. Are the Hershey Bears going to be able to take their good luck charm, Alex Ovechkin, on the road at all for games 1 and 2? How was that experience to have the greatest goal scorer in the building for the last playoff game? It had to be pretty awesome there in Hershey.
I mean, we're 1-0 when Ovi's in the house,
Yeah.
so we better be flying him out or whatever we need to get the grade 8 in there. Really cool experience with Alex Ovechkin come to the game in Hershey. I feel like I can't say for sure. There was a good chance he probably would have played in the preseason game that we had here at Giant Center earlier this year, back in September. Unfortunately, got hurt in training camp, and of course, you're not going to risk anything like that. So it would have been cool to see him play, but he's always joked about, oh, I'm packing my bags, going to Hershey. And so many guys over the years have come up from Hershey and become his lifelong teammates. So for him to come here, I found out very shortly before the doors opened that this was happening, and obviously kudos to everyone that was part of it, arranging it and making it a cool surprise for the fans and getting him the Bears swag. But just a cool experience to hear the roar of the crowd, the 7,000 people that we had here making noise when he was shown on the video board. He went down after the game, participated in the team's ritual in the locker room after the win, and I think shook everybody's hand. And I look at a guy like Sam Bitt, who scored a goal in that game, wasn't in Washington's training camp, is on an American League contract. That's got to be the coolest experience of that guy's life right there. Alex Ovechkin suddenly is there watching you score a goal, and then there he is in the locker room, and you're giving him a nod in your post-game speech. So really cool experience. Seeing him do the roar, that was top notch for me. That brought a big smile. But I was sitting next to Garrett Mitchell, right? And guys, Garrett Mitchell played a game for the Washington Capitals. He was in their organization forever. He's been to training camp. He skated alongside Alex Ovechkin. Not a ton phases Garrett Mitchell. He's been around the who's who in the hockey world, but after Alex Ovechkin roared and waved the towel, and Garrett works for our company now as a coworker of mine off the air and on the air, he just looked at me and said, that was really freaking cool. Yeah. Like, just for the fans here, for Hershey, for what this organization means to have him here, that was really cool. So iconic picture of him doing the roar, waving the towel with the Bears jacket on. So hopefully we can get him back for a future game, because we're 1-0 when he's in the house, and it definitely brought a little extra oomph, I'd have to think, for everybody down there on the ice.
Zach, last question before we let you go. I don't want to put you on the spot too much, but how much thicker is that playoff beer going to get for you?
Oh, I hope a lot. I will subscribe to the same theory that I had the last handful of years, that a little light trimming of the cheeks and the neck is acceptable as long as the regular part of the beard stays intact. I let it really go wild in 2023 because I'm superstitious. I wanted to do the same in 2024, but it was just insufferable. So I did trim it a little bit that year to keep it manageable for television, since we're on TV quite a bit now, and we still won that year. So I'm going to go to that theory again, that if I need a little trimming later on, we can do it as long as the spirit of it stays intact. But I hope till June. I hope when it's hot outside. You never know in the Calder Cup playoffs. You just never know what it might bring. We've seen a couple upsets already. Hershey is a team that rises to the challenge in this. And look, Wilkes-Barre Scranton could be here in a couple days up in the series, or it could be the Bears up in the series. But I think when you get good goaltending and you get a team that gets belief, especially in a place like Hershey where it's taken to the next level, the sky could be the limit. So that's a real good team on the other side. Don't get me wrong. This is going to be a very, very difficult series. All the respect to Wilkes-Barre Scranton, who's trying to get a big-time playoff win against their rivals after being in that bye and having a great regular season. So I look forward to seeing game 1 and 2, both on the road, not just one on the road, two on the road, give us a little more indication of how the Bears stack up at that point. But I'm with you. I certainly a lot of belief in this team and hope I'm growing this playoff beard until late June again. That would be a lot of fun. I'm looking up at it right now. I'm in my booth. There's all the Calder Cup banners. That's the standard. These guys see these every day, so it's cool to see them so excited and amped up for playoff hockey.
There's nothing like playoff hockey, especially in Chocolate Town up there at a Hershey Bears game. Game 1, Game 2 on the road up in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, Thursday and Saturday night. You can catch the call from Zack Fisch, of course, over on Froggy Valley 100.1. Zach, we can't thank you enough, man, for the time. I know you're a busy guy here playoff season, but we look forward to that call coming up here Thursday night for game number 1.
Hey, thanks so much, guys. Always a pleasure. I always got time for you. And yeah, if you get out and join us, tickets, HersheyBears.com. Game 3 back in our building. That is on the 5th, Cinco de Mayo. So come on out and join us for that one. It's a Tuesday night, so make plans getting off of work or whatever it need be. First 6,000 fans get a cowbell courtesy of Giants. So we know it's going to be loud in here. Maybe bring a couple extra Advil, and you got to make noise for playoff hockey. So we look forward to seeing everybody then. Hopefully a couple wins on the road before then. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Zach.
Thanks very much, Zach.